Call this Toledo City Council work session meeting for April 23rd, 2025 to order. First item, pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There we go. Councilor Mix and Councilor Kaufman are excused this evening. For Burns.
Right here.
Councilor Sylvia.
Yes, sir.
Keating.
Oh.
Council President Bush.
Here.
And I am here. We have 5. We will be able to do our one item of decision this evening. All right, I'm going to allow for public comment before the official work session gets started. Once we get into the work session, we will be taking no other public comment during our work sessions. So at this time, is there anyone who would like to address council?
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
Girls. Hello, everybody.
Take your names for the record.
Brenda Brown, Toledo.
Lisa Watson, Toledo.
So I'm here tonight representing the Toledo History Center.
And I'm here tonight representing the Uclina Pacific Railroad Historical Society, which is, of course, the train museum here in town.
So last year, we came before you and requested funding to keep our museums up and running.
Operational funding.
Yes,
So,
and made recommendations, so. But it really allowed us to do some upgrades.
and it provided security for both of our organizations.
So we just wanted to come before you and let you know that we'd like to make that request again this year. So if you would like any information from us, if you'd like a presentation or an update on our activities, we're more than happy to do that. We can do that, Counselor. If you'd like, we can come to the first budget committee meeting. So basically, we're just here to introduce ourselves and let you know that we are really interested in making another request this year.
And we also want to say thank you again for the
Absolutely.
past funding. Again, it really provides security for both of our 501c3s and allows for us to pursue other grants for other projects that improve safety and access to both of our entities. So thank you.
Anybody else feels, but I'd kind of like them to come and give us a presentation again, like we did last year.
I would like one. Also, please come with a dollar figure.
Okay.
That's the easiest
We
way.
can do that.
Okay.
And
So do we do this every year? Is this?
this,
Okay.
Well, we did it last year.
yeah, last year was the first
But I
year.
didn't know if it was something that we have done.
Not before last year.
Yeah.
So they were getting funding from Lincoln County and Lincoln County was threatening to pull it. And I
They
don't.
kind of still are.
And this year is really
because-
even more.
With the
That's why-
administrator gone and
County, we have no
and
idea.
one
We
of our.
talked about it last year because we did not want to lose either one of those histories.
Yeah.
No, of course not. I just
Lincoln
didn't
County
know
was
if we
fine.
did it every year. This is only,
Yeah.
Right.
And
We would
yeah.
love a line item. Just saying.
I don't know if we can do a line item, but I think we can find a way, but please come visit us and visit the budget committee both.
which one
Okay.
would that be?
Yeah.
Actually, would that be?
Probably the first meeting of
First
next.
budget meeting. The first budget committee
Presentation at a budget.
presentation for us would be,
Next.
yeah,
council.
next month, well, week from, 2 weeks from today. There we go.
2 weeks from
Mayor,
today.
if we could
Yes, sir.
be useful if you could, get, typically Lisa tries to get things in the packet by Thursday.
Yep.
So if you have something like a written request, something that maybe describes what. A
Yeah.
little bit about the next,
You bet.
what they ask us about,
And we'll put together, last year we did a PowerPoint,
I'm the
so we
same
don't do
age,
that
right.
again.
Yes,
That would be great.
We got it. Good to meet with you.
Yeah,
May
just thank you guys
May
again.
7th is the date.
May 7th, excellent.
But
Perfect,
it's
perfect,
over at the Railroad
perfect.
Museum, and I missed the opening hours at the Railroad Museum.
Oh,
But anyway, yeah.
Thank you both.
yes,
Excellent.
thank you, and we will see you in
Next week.
weeks.
On the 7th.
Would you like an update or kind of an overall presentation?
Both.
Okay,
Perfect.
got it.
Okay.
Okay,
Excellent.
thank you much.
Played off. Perfect.
Anyone else wish to address council this evening? Go ahead, Jim.
Thank you guys.
Chairs. Jim Chambers, 565 Aspen Street, Toledo. Get it up. The other thing looking over your agenda and also your, that you're looking at tonight is the new water and sewer rates. The one thing I want to remind you of is the fire suppression systems, which, doesn't use water unless there's a fire in the house or the building. And I didn't see that in your rate study and everything else that was done in previous years. And because of that, as you may recall, your rates got away from you, I think, because the rate at one time was $500 and some odd per month, which was way out of sight. And the interesting thing is that, you do require fire suppression systems, usually new facilities or something of that nature. And there's a lot of buildings in town that should have a fire suppression system that don't. So, that's one thing for you to consider someday. But in effect, I just want to make sure that is discussed and brought to some resolving, because it's not part of that rate study, so you don't get that paper. It's actually, I think, a different resolution number two. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you make note of that?
I did.
Adjusted that last year or the year before. Didn't we fix it somehow?
We lowered it, but I don't know. I gotta find out how it worked out. That's what-
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's what I hopefully tonight.
You need a reminder?
You got you, Jim. John? John Robinson, for those that don't know me, I'm building the triplex at 6th and A across from the police station. So I wanted to come tonight for several reasons. Hopefully you got the information I printed out. I'm just going to go over it real briefly. So I've been building here in Toledo since 2019, and I've tried to be an active participant in housing related issues and add input as I could as things have changed, and you're doing a lot of good stuff. I just spoke at the planning commission, and I'll plan on coming back when the ordinance comes in front of the council, and I'm very supportive of everything that's going on there. But my concern is that I have this email that I attached that I sent 2 years ago in March of 2023 that had some suggestions and concerns that would help the building community outside of all the other fantastic work that you're doing. And really, my request talks about this, and I'm not here to point fingers or anything, but really nothing has happened in 2 years. And my project has taken 2 years, which I didn't expect, but here I am. And so I know about the turmoil that the city's been through, and I didn't come here to complain about that or dredge it up, but basically just to kind of put an outside perspective on it. Since 2019, I've been through 4 city managers and 3 public works directors now, and I'm a relationship guy. So I like to build relationships with people, and then it makes it nice for the next project and to call on the phone and to text, hey, come over here and take care of that. It's really hard to do business when the decision makers are turning over so rapidly that it's disruptive. And so I know you know that, but I just wanted to give you my perspective on that. And so the reason I'm bringing this to your attention now is because it's been 2 years and I never really got a formal response from the city for the 4 pages that I sent. But also there's a couple of agenda items that you have tonight. And I thought, well, it looked like a light night. This would be a good time to talk about it. So the first one is water and sewer rates, and I won't go into the details, but basically what I recommended before was to have a very low construction water rate, because I have many months that I'm not using any water at all, and I'm paying $36 a month.
for the privilege of being able to hook up to the water. Now, that's aside from me already paying for the meters, paying the city for the install and everything else. But the catch-22 here is that I have to have water hooked up to pressurize the pipes so Lincoln County can approve the plumbing. Okay, because that's part of the test. You do the drain pipe and the pressurized pipe. So I have to have water, but then the only thing we're using water for is to clean out the concrete or wash our muddy boots or whatever. So it's not a ton of water usage, but being that it's been 2 years now, $36 a month, I couldn't give you the total, but it's in the hundreds of dollars that I'm paying for water that I'm not getting the service of. Okay. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to talk about was that. And because I read the water rates and I read some stuff about part-time residents paying when they're not here. And I get all that. But if we're going to support housing, then we need to look at some small things that can help little guys like me out. Okay. And so that's what that's about. The other thing is that all of these costs are passed through. I mean, the question I get all the time, why is the rent so high? Why does it cost so much to build? Why is this so expensive? And it's because there's all these pass-through costs that I don't control, none of them. And so you can control some of those pass-through costs, and anything that you can control means that the housing becomes less expensive. And so that's a positive. And so I wanted to let you know how much power you have, even though you may not know that.
John?
Yes, sir.
Your 3 minutes are done.
Okay.
Not on the 7th, see if we can get us a meeting between you, David, Justin, our planner.
Yeah.
And I'll come in too. And let's address some of these questions that have been left hanging.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
And let's see if we can get some ball movement on this.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right.
That'd be great. So yeah, you can read the rest of it. And again, I'm sorry to hear Mike's leaving because that just fits in with my whole stop the turnover thing. So I'm going to miss you, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
You bet. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience wish to address council? Anyone online?
If there's anyone online who's like to address the council, please raise your hand electronically and you will be recognized. I do not see any.
All right.
I'd like to ask a question,
Yes, ma'am.
please. So just so I understand now, this is really important. And so it goes to you, is that right, to put onto meeting agenda so we can discuss? I just want to know how all this works. How do we?
This is new to me, this particular concern that was just raised. So the mayor wants to have a meeting, I'm more than happy to have a meeting, but I think you're about to have a generic conversation about water rates and sewer rates.
Yes.
And so I think we need to have that conversation. I'll feel a little better. I'll feel a little more informed after that conversation. I've had opportunity to review the rate structure, the rate study, which is now 5 years old. So it's probably pretty dated. Certainly the pricing is dated in there. So I think we're gonna, if nothing else comes out of this, I'm gonna suggest to you that we really revisit that work and talk about rates in general, because we are able to relate, at least based on the information we have now, we can relate that back to what we're doing budgetarily. Individually, with respect to how we treat construction, how we treat fire suppression, issues, et cetera. I'm ill-informed and not, it's going to take a bit for me to get up to speed, and we may want to have our engineers at the table. I don't know, but our job is to inform you. We can follow up and get meetings scheduled and see what, at least get more input.
Thank you.
But again, keeping you at your level is the budget and the rates is in the big picture.
And that's ultimately the desired outcome of tonight's meeting, is what information do we need staff to come back to council with for us to make decisions?
Okay, thanks.
That makes sense?
Yes, I appreciate that very much.
All right. Our next item is a City of Toledo proclamation for the observance of Toledo Arbor Day 2025. Whereas in 1872, the Nebraska Board of Agriculture established a special day to be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can be a solution to combating climate change by reducing the erosion of our precious topsoil, by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderating the temperature, cleaning the air, producing life-giving oxygen and providing habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Rod Cross, Mayor, City of Toledo, Oregon, do hereby proclaim April 26, 2025 as Arbor Day in the city of Toledo, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 23rd day of April, 2025.
So I got a question kind of relating to that. The cleaning the air, does anybody know where to get spider plant? Those are the things that clean your air inside your homes.
I'm gonna make a guess, but I would think that Garland Nursery over in Corvallis would have a bunch of them.
I just read about those
They
recently.
even get them at Admire sometimes, I think.
I've checked both Rite-Aids and Walmart for the last week or so.
All right, next is our lone decision item this evening is consideration to appoint a budget committee member. Mr. Dyson has served on the budget committee since 2022. He has attended all the meetings. He's done his due diligence. I would recommend that we reappoint him. Does anyone have any comments?
Do
Well, then I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to appoint Rick Dyson to the Budget Committee to a full term that will expire December of 2027.
I said,
Ooh, Andrew.
I second.
Been moved by Frank, seconded by Andrew to appoint Ricky Dyson to the Budget Committee for a full term that will expire in December of 2027. I will take a roll call vote. Councilor Burns,
Yes.
Council President Bush,
yes.
Councilor Keating,
Yes.
pardon me, Councilor Sylvia,
Yes, sir.
and I vote yes. Motion carries 5-0. Our next item begins our work session. Our first item is consideration of new water and sewer rates effective for May 2025. Judy,
Yes,
fire away.
thank you. Good evening. It's good to be with you. I wanted to get this in front of you for some discussion and some direction. I put in the rate study, and as David said, it's 5 years old, so it's probably a little dated and maybe time for it to be updated. But I think it has a lot of good information about long-term projects in it, and there were some members of the council that I thought probably hadn't ever read that before and weren't maybe aware of some of these long-term projects that need to be done. I know that you've got the Ammons water tank replacement underway, but there's some other long-term goals that need to be met in that rate study. And we've also been working very diligently on the budget and are finding our water fund coming up very, very tight. Sewer is tight also, but we can at least make the numbers come out. Water, we're having a really hard time with. So we do have to make some adjustments to keep things going. And then I also included in your packet information about the rates the last 3-4 years of both water and sewer.
So as I remember,
Go ahead.
we were behind last year or the year before because we hadn't raised them over the COVID years and to cushion the community. So now we're scrambling to catch up, right?
Well,
Yes.
so it's
Yeah.
even worse than that. Okay. When we had the rate study done, the rates hadn't been changed in a few years before that. I want to say 4 years before the rate study was done. So we were already behind the 8 ball when the study was done.
And were they raised at that time when the study was done?
When the study was done, The first year they were raised and then came COVID. We had 2 years of COVID.
Okay.
And everybody was scrambling, so we didn't want to add any extra to it. But we've been trying to play catch up now for the last 2 years, and it's probably going to be more years to go because our costs that we're incurring to keep the thing going has not stopped going up and has not plateaued, they just keep going. Yeah, that's a good face for it because it's frustrating. I'm surprised that we're breaking even, to tell you the truth.
It doesn't sound like we are.
Well, she said tight.
Yeah.
So tight,
Well,
low, tight.
Sewer is tight, water is broken.
Thank you. That's because I assumed that we were under on water.
Well, you know, we've got two factors that are really influencing it quite a bit. And one is that we lost Seal Rock, which that was a huge loss. You know, with them went revenue, but not necessarily costs. And then about a year ago or so, Georgia Pacific discovered a huge water break or leak that they had and corrected it. And that's made quite an impact on the monthly billing for Georgia Pacific, which, you know, over the course of a year adds up to quite a bit of money. So.
Comments, questions, council?
They potentially had a contract with that each summer if they needed to buy more water.
Well, this was
And they
for-
didn't need to do that too, right?
But, okay, that, we're talking two different contracts.
Okay, okay,
The contract you're thinking of is the raw water,
okay,
okay? What Judy's referring to is the processed water.
okay.
I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, but on page 18, it looks like our bad years was 16 to 18. That's where our dip goes way down and then back up for the shortfall. And then it plateaus back out again around 20.
Well, and a lot of those numbers are, to be blunt, are purely dependent on how much work we're doing within the system. And unfortunately, as you read through the rate study, we're behind on more than just a few projects. The Ammon Road tank is just one of those things.
Then can somebody explain? Because I can't. Tracy would have been good. Page 41. I don't understand that graph. There's lines going across the pages and stuff, and I don't understand it. You just asked, right?
I'll get there.
Oh, there's one of them. Yeah, this is one. There's one on 41. I don't see how it goes from here and then goes at a diagonal both directions. I don't know what it's supposed to mean.
Base rates.
There's one on 41 and one on 48.
Consumption rates.
And you're looking pretty
5 years ago, I had that.
One on 41 and then one.
Right, the one on 41 is for the water rates, the one on 48 is for the sewer rates.
I'm just confused as to how it goes through at an angle instead of straight
So
across.
you get the red line.
Yeah,
Yeah, so one of them is, they're comparing how you get to the same amount of monthly rate, whether you vary the base rate or whether you vary the.
That's what it was.
Rate.
No, not myself. Well, I kind of,
So the base rate is the yellow, the green column?
Base rates on the left hand side.
Yeah.
The X
Sorry,
column, I
it's-
guess, what it's.
It's green.
my comment is kind of.
Fine.
It should be for later, but also for now, it's something about uses for that SIP money. One of my suggestions is covering the lost revenue for the loss of Seal Rock Water District. Is we're able to use that to help get us
So-
back out of the red and into the black again.
That's something that we're gonna need to ask an attorney, and the reason I say that. Okay? The reason I say that is because the SIP money is replacing general fund money. Okay, and there's water and sewer are both, they're enterprise funds, which means they have to take care of themselves. Now, I think you can use general fund money over to help. Okay, but I don't think we can do a direct SIP to that.
I'm not even sure the first part of that statement was true. There's limitations on what you can transfer into an enterprise fund, not necessarily out of an enterprise fund.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I thought it was
subsidized.
the other way around.
Yeah, I'm not sure that maybe Mike.
You know, I know that the whole SDC transportation fund or water or wastewater is supposed to be a supporting system, right? So all of the costs of improvements, maintenance of your water system is supposed to be paid for out of the SDC rates that you set. I don't know. I don't
As
know.
I understand it,
But
money can go into them. It's just it can't come. In other words, we can't use those services to prop up general services.
that is true. And you.
That's
can't-
what I thought.
And you
Okay.
can't use water funds to supplement sewer funds.
Right.
Or transportation roads to supplement water. Or there's parks SDCs that we don't
I
have.
guess what I'm getting at is I don't think we can do a direct, what you're asking for, Frank, a direct to it. But I think what we could do if we needed to was it's in the general fund, and if the general fund needed to help, then the general fund could do that. If that makes sense.
Then
I
my
just
other
don't think you
comment.
could draw the direct line with the SIP money.
My other comment would be more for him, David. Doug, when he was still here, he was working on something with Dahl and our solids from our wastewater. Trying to work on getting them to us to be able to dump it there into their soil to help make better fertilizer instead of us trucking it all the way out to our farmers. I don't know where that went either, because that would save us a ton of money on that as well.
I think that's something, I doubt that we're prepared to report on that, or should we get back? Should we come back on it?
Come back to us.
I think we have a couple of things we need to follow up on if that
Yeah.
like us to do.
Judy,
I just wanted to advise the council that the general fund is pretty tight too.
I think that's kind of why we have a few of these other discussions on here with it.
Yes, it is, as a matter of fact.
Now, I believe that when Judy, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I thought that we had agreed to do alternating 3% and 5% increases on water and sewer until we got to that balance point. Is that what you recall from when you were city manager?
That's my recollection, but I don't know that that's happened. Well, COVID happened, yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, since COVID, because I think that's what we've done over the last 2 years. Maybe even 3, but I'd have to go back and look.
I remember that we were ahead on sewer and streetlights and all of that, so we were gonna flip it and put more into water and like, there was
Yeah,
something about a flip.
Well, it was on, I think it was on, just on streetlights. I don't think it was on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a flip that happened. Like we were putting
So-
more into one than the other and we've,
Yeah,
Go ahead,
when
Judy.
you did that, but that took money out of the general fund, and as I said, the general fund is tight.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah, the three of us weren't even on here.
Right.
I don't
know.
think so.
I would urge you not to look at short-term subsidies of any kind.
Oh, no, let me put it this way. I believe in taking the whole view, and then my recommendation is as much as it hurts, we've still got an increase.
Yeah,
And it's just where, at what point, I think the two things that were brought up, I think those are fixes that need to be done. Okay, and need to be addressed, but I think they can be addressed. I don't know if they can be addressed in the water rate resolution that we do. But I think it can be done especially for those two items in our ordinances, because they both have to do with construction.
The public comments.
Right.
Can be addressed in ordinances.
Yeah.
Yes, Mayor.
Because they both make valid points, and I think I said that the last 2 times we've heard from them. I'm hoping that we can get some movement. David, I loved your idea of the issue tracker so that we can stay on top of some of this stuff and so that we see it and where it's at in the process. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because part of what has happened over the last, 6, 7 months is a lot of things got dropped and we've got to get the ball back and run it again. So, any other questions on the water and wastewater rates?
So I'm
Go ahead.
not sure what direction, are we coming back to you with a proposed rate amendment that?
Yes, I would say come back with a proposed rate amendment. Me personally, because I can't speak for everybody here, but I would look at a 3, 4, or 5% increase. Simply because we are that far behind still, and we've got to get to where we have some equilibrium at some point. And I think one of the things that we need to do next year is probably do another water rate study, especially comparing all of our neighbors. Because I know Philomath's went way up this last year. So
I would love to know what other neighboring communities are paying for water, just so if it comes up in the community, we can say, well, these people are paying this and these people are paying that, and we're still under, people are.
Newport had a 15% increase last year, but we won't mention that.
So it's always good to know what our neighbors are doing and with respect to water and sewer, but frankly, they're all independent systems. But
We know, but we also know that that's what we're going to hear about.
Yeah,
True.
and I'd like to have an educated.
That's particularly important when it comes to the issues that are being raised here, is the cost of construction. Because that does drive business in or business out. So so the STC's heading, that certainly is a, that is definitely of interest. What our neighbors are doing, what comparably sized communities are doing. Water rates, sewer rates, it's of interest, but it shouldn't really have a whole lot to do with what you set your rates.
So for example, last year when Newport raised theirs, the reason they raised theirs was because they have to do a new wastewater treatment plant. And as they found out, they were so far behind what they were supposed to be collecting to be able to get any of those federal monies or even state monies.
So
they had to start raising.
Probably their STCs largely, but.
Yep. And we're trying to avoid that now because we had our wake up call when we got that rate study. Hopefully we can stay on top of it and keep moving it up.
How long do those studies take?
That one took, I want to say 3 or 4 months.
So maybe do it in 6 months from now, so we'll
That's what I'm
have it.
thinking, is find a way to figure out how to put that into the budget for next year to have that done again.
Yeah, so have it done before.
Because COVID, as we all know, COVID has changed the world we live in, and we got to see where we're at now. Any other comments, questions?
So when do we get back to this issue? What
Well,
happens?
May 7th will be the earliest.
Yes.
You probably have a fairly full calendar. I don't know whether we have that on there already, Lisa, for consideration. Brady,
Look.
we've been adding a lot
So
of.
it'll either be the May 7th or May 21st.
Okay, so it would be
That's next month.
in the next couple meetings. Yay. So.
Again, the issue, are we talking about rates or are we talking about the issues that the here speakers raised?
The rates.
Rates,
For
okay.
one, and then how will we work budget if we haven't determined what the rates are gonna be? Can it
We'll
be?
make some assumptions.
Yeah, that,
Oh, okay.
so a lot of budgeting is based on prior years' data, and then we got to make some assumptions.
Okay,
We're making assumptions and we hope to retain those assumptions about what would be occurring with rate changes this coming year. So it looks like so far our assumptions are holding. So
Okay.
that's good.
thank you.
We do have placeholders for the resolutions to come back on the 7th.
All right, next item. discussion regarding the intended use of the SIP funds which are deposited in the city council strategic reserve fund. For those of you that are new, we implemented the strategic reserve fund back in 2010. And the purpose for it was because inevitably there's some emergency that occurs during the course of a year that no one's planned for, no one's budgeted for, no one saw it coming. For 10 years, because at that point we put $50,000 into that. And it's based solely on, it's our discretionary funding, as it were, and spending. For 10 years, we didn't touch it. And then COVID happened. And we were able to use that money to get ahead of the game and keep our businesses functioning. Being able to make no interest loans out to them, making sure they could keep their employees paid and keep going while the federal government sped up the CARES Act and ARPA and all of that. So it has proven it's for lack of a better, it's proven its effectiveness. Because one of the things that I don't know if the three of you know, but any of our quote unquote dollars that aren't getting spent sits in the local government investment pool. And so that money continues to make interest for us. So we do get some passive benefit out of having these accounts. I would propose, within thinking about the SIP funds, is I would propose raising the city council strategic reserve to a number of $75,000, with the rest of the SIP going back in to the general fund to help keep our departments functioning the way they should be. That would be my recommendation going forward. But I'm hoping that you all came ready to discuss your thoughts and about the SIP, about the strategic reserve, et cetera.
I only had the lost revenue for the water down for some of that, and then park improvements, and then memorial bathroom. That's the only thing I could think of, since that we still don't have that bathroom there yet.
Memorial bathroom, I haven't heard back from CIS where we're at on that. Have they cut us a check yet, David, to replace the? No. Thank you.
Have to.
Judy is shaking her head.
We got, as I recall, $54,000.
But, okay. This may have been another thing that got dropped. I remember Doug talking about that was the initial check, but they're supposed to ensure the replacement cost, which was much higher than that. And it was like 125, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know that that's been, I think the last time I talked to Brian about that, he said that they're using an engineer from someplace to get a dollar amount, and that hasn't been decided yet. In the meantime, they're paying for the cost of the porta potties. We did just get a check this week to cover our, so far, costs of the porta potties.
Okay.
So I think that CIS is picking that up. But it's just the process.
So CIS has been covering, and the way I believe is Doug had it set up quarterly, that we would pay it and we get reimbursed for the porta potties until placement is taking place.
Evidently.
Working with CIS and On Point is who's ones who told them what the replacement cost is going to be. They're supposed to be
That's right.
communicating
It was-
and getting back to me.
Okay.
It was On Point. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'd forgotten that name, but On Point was, yeah.
So Frank, does that answer your question about the Memorial Field bathroom?
I was just concerned about, Summerfest coming up,
Yeah,
not having a bathroom again. It'll be tough.
yes.
I'm working on it, Frank. I promise you.
And the summer, the Toledo swap meets that'll be going on this
Yeah.
summer too.
So if they're covering the cost of it, then why can't we just go ahead and build it? Why do we have to wait on them if they're?
Because they only cut us a check for 50 and it's gonna be more like 115,000. Right, is what you
Yeah, I
guys
mean,
said.
it's a matter of having dollars in the bank to pay for it.
Okay, so Another question then is it a matter that, you know, squeaky wheel gets the grease, so are we not pestering them?
Probably not.
Why don't we get back to you at your next council meeting with a little more information?
But concerning the SIP money, yes, Judy,
Well, we're on the subject of the SIP money.
thank you.
There was an error made in the budget process last year, and the beginning fund balance was overstated in the public safety remodel fund. And I hate to be the bearer of this bad bit of news, but right now, that fund is overdrawn by $75,000, and I've got another. Brian, how much was the bill that you got?
Invoice for just under 125,000 for this
Yeah,
last.
so we're $200,000 basically overdrawn on the public safety building remodel fund at this point. And I was hoping that I could ask the council about some SIP dollars that were labeled for public improvements. There's about $250,000 in that. And if that could be transferred to cover the public safety building remodel.
Okay, so I gotta ask questions about that. Is this overage due to the contractor being months late in doing what they're supposed to have done?
I don't believe so. I think this was from when it was renegotiated where we, at one point, the decision to do have X done and then it was detracted and then we were moving forward with that. And then the decision to go back to what the initial X was not allotted for. Other than that, I wasn't a part of the budgeting for that.
But the budget was, the beginning fund balance was overestimated.
Right.
And so that gives you less revenue to spend.
I understand that. I'm just frustrated with that building. And Judy, you remember how frustrated I was when you were here. My frustration has not changed. I think one of the things with the public safety building, we need to recognize is that it is part of a major funding package at the state level for public safety buildings across the state. It is one of the 16 projects that are in that portfolio. So it is my hope that it will pass and that we can finally get that building taken care of. Where are we at currently in the quote city council strategic reserve fund?
That's what I was talking about. There was
Okay,
300,000 that was earmarked for public improvements, and 50,000 of that went in payment to Northwest Coastal Housing. And so there's $250,000 there that is not spent as of today.
yes,
I'm confused on these numbers. So we got 265,000 in August and then 458,000 in January. So that total is 723,000, and then they sent 365,000 over to the strategic fund, which would leave 358. But that's the 358 is what we're talking about, right?
Essentially.
David, can you prepare a transfer resolution for us so that we can get that balanced?
So they can.
So that's something we can consider at our next meeting.
I can really do a good job of delegating that to Judy.
You know what,
I'm
that just
making
sounds,
notes.
and you know what? That's your job.
Yeah.
So Brian, Judy, David, once that 200,000 is paid, is that it? Or do you expect more bills to come in?
It has to do with the stairwell next year and it's cool that they got the order before things. Washington.
South, yeah.
Yeah, long and short. So there's outstanding as of Now we have about 125,000 from this billing period, and then there's about another 120 estimated left.
Mayor, you know, the funds on those, what kind of time? Do you have any sense? I know you don't have a crystal ball, but
So in general, these would be based on lottery bonds. They would be available to us somewhere, I want to say October or November.
oh,
If it passes with the right now, the legislature and money is kind of a good guessing game this year.
I gotcha.
We'll know more after next week. Well, no, after the week after. May 1st, I think, is when they're supposed to be doing their next budget forecast for the state. And that will give them a better idea of where the state is on money to be able to be allocated. So I'm hoping that they come back with neutral or positive. Any other questions on this item?
That was fun.
We got to keep you around.
Looks like you're stuck.
All right. Next item, review proposed capital improvement projects for fiscal year 2025, 2026. You have anything?
That's just on the bottom.
We have something for the package on this? I'm sorry.
It's not in
Have
our
anything
page.
to tell?
It's not in the
It's
packet.
not.
It's not in the packet.
No, I just wanted you to have a peek at what we're proposing for capital improvement projects as part of the budget process. And I like the council to be able to see it ahead of the first budget meeting. There could be some more added, but this is where we're at right now, and Lisa can put them up on the screen for you.
Yeah, if you need.
And I will just tell you, everything got said behind this year, as you will. Yeah, I know, comes as a shock.
You mean from a timeline perspective or?
Well, if you'll recall, we didn't have we only just got an audit, we only just got our first real budget act. And we started our budget process about 3 months late, so not, everything's crowded, and so we're getting it as quickly as we can caught up.
Squozed in.
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
I'll, just gonna go down one by one, Judy.
I'd just go down the list, Lisa. These are not in any particular order, but again, we just wanted you to get a glance at them.
Okay.
I don't know if you want, do you want a commentary on them, or how do you want to do this?
Isn't this normal though for our budget, the street painting?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It has to be done every year.
We've got enough new people that I want to make sure they understand this is an item that we do every year, not just a one-time shot.
Well, if Brian would do it right the first time.
Oh, okay, I'm backing up.
I was gonna
It's
say,
all out of love, buddy.
No comment.
that's contracted out, and weren't they behind and like,
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was somebody else that did it.
Next.
This is also annual.
What is that?
They regulate the pressure zones within the city, so disruptions. Less disruptions, less water hammer breakage.
Yes.
Lisa, go ahead.
Now I know why Brian's here. He can explain all this stuff to us.
That's gonna be his.
That's where it's done.
This was actually a carryover from last year. We've applied for a grant and been awarded a grant, but or we've applied, but it hadn't been awarded yet, so we just rebudgeted it. And we hope to get it.
Good.
If we don't get the grant, we don't do the project.
And the kids are chomping at the bit. They will be sophomores next year and they're ready.
Moms has asked me every time I go into the store about
This
it.
is rebudgeted as well, right, Judy?
No, but this is almost a maintenance item, or I don't think it's rebudgeted. I don't recall.
was it?
I think so. The ramp
Ran from the library.
to the back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's a rebudgeted item.
And are we gonna do that at a slope that's ADA?
That's why we have to
compliant?
do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay.
And this has been in the budget for several years. The addition, storage addition for the fire station.
What is
This,
that?
is Larry here? No?
No,
No.
The Lucas device
okay.
is for doing chest compressions, and especially when they don't have a large number of volunteers that are available to help with that. This machine will take the place of people.
It does it on
Chest
its own.
compressions.
yeah.
Really?
I
So
have seen that. That is bad. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
that's awesome. There you go. Those are, so for example, I've seen them, the way it's been demonstrated to me is like after you go through the second paramedic, they hook them up to the Lucas device. So with us being out here in the middle of nowhere and only so many ambulances to go around, this is gonna be invaluable to the things we do.
That is something we should have like yesterday.
Well, they're kind of new. They're not, yesterday may not have been available.
Brian,
That's,
help us out.
that's annual.
No,
It's one.
No, this one's every 20 years.
Not annual.
Oh, is this the big one?
This is filter media. Basically what the filtration, biggest filtration part of our drinking water system. It's their 20-year lifespans. We're approaching year 25.
That's not good.
So
So it's not the membranes?
They showed us that at the water
Yeah.
treatment tour, right?
you get up above, it's the humidity, the gravel, all the above.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
Yeah, it's a big process and it's just incrementally, it's gotten worse. Unfortunately.
The brains of the system, skin system.
Now, SCADA systems, this is the one for the water treatment plant, I believe. Is also to make sure things function properly. Communications there, that's what SCADA does.
So how often does that need to be done?
I'm not sure exactly, but it's been overdue
Yeah,
at both the water treatment and wastewater.
okay.
Why don't you go sit at the table so you're closer to the microphones?
Your favorite spot. Come on, Brian.
Come and join the cool kids up here.
Your show apparently.
It's my show.
Won't take your pay away. We're all doing.
VFDs and the PLC at the Butler Ridge Pumping Station. I don't know if you guys remember Hammond Pumping Station. We had a bypass pump sitting out there for some time because we had to have them rebuilt. Well, sending off the VFDs to get rebuilt was the only option we had because they're obsolete and there's an outfit that's able to rebuild those. They're severely dated. Butler Bridge is in line next. It's archaic. It needs a total upgrade. And we're looking at what, 98,000? 99.
99.
And that's to continue pumping the sewage from the collection systems to our treatment plant.
So how often would that have to be done?
Hopefully not in my lifetime again.
Good answer.
You're planning on living long.
It's gonna make 120.
So I can't, I'm not crystal ball on that. It's my knowledge, it has not been updated in the last 15 to 20 years.
I think the last time it was updated was '07. That's the last time I remember the whole thing being torn out.
This is the SCADA system, that's the operating system for the wastewater plant, as in with the water treatment.
Cicadas.
Automatic transfer switches, the high school and Lincoln Way are the two sanitary sewer pump stations we have that are not on automatic transfer switches, which means in the event of a power bump or power failure, it doesn't go to generator power. Pretty pivotal. Last two ice storms we have had to actually go and manually go switch them over to generator run power and turn the pumps on so we can get the sanitary system flowing. The need for them is there. Again, these are the two that don't have them. And also it would reduce safety concerns in an outage. And in an ice storm, we have down trees, all the above, then we don't have to have somebody physically there to flip the switch and.
Silly
get the
thing to
pumping
waste
station.
time on, yeah.
Oh, man. Critical time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't ask for much, do you?
Just everything I could get.
Actually, this is pretty light. I'm not joking.
I'm just. Problems.
This is to replace the phone system, which I am surprised $10,000 doesn't seem like a very big cost to me, so. Justin researched it and found a provider that would be able to do it for $10,000. And this brings the Public Works building on ups their internet and gets them with fiber. So they have better Wi-Fi, better access to modern technology.
Better access to SCADA.
Yeah, that too.
Pretty important.
Yeah, kind of needed.
That's a pretty skinny CIP list.
Yes, it is.
That list together, where did that come from?
Individual departments.
Mainly Brian.
He put his version. I didn't work with the public works aspect of it. Public works.
Okay.
Good work. So, and with his.
Anyone else, Judy? Oh, Chief.
Yeah, we also missed the patrol car for the department as part of our vehicle replacement plan.
How long do we have to wait for this one?
Depends on the tariffs and everything.
How long did it take to get the last one?
6 months.
Way too long because they sold it.
They sold it under, from Anthony.
So as you can see, and as you've heard both David and myself say, this is a pretty skinny list compared to, for lack of a better word, normal years. We have been inordinately blessed here. I know that sounds strange. When it comes to having the money to upgrade and to keep things going, we're still in better shape than about 40% of the cities in the state. And I know that's a scary number. And one of the reasons that number is scary is because we're expecting that if the economy does the same thing over the next 2 years that it's done the last 2 years, that number is probably going to jump to around 80 to 90% of our cities are going to be looking at being underwater. I think we need to start looking at skinny lists. Like narrow down and really look at, okay, in the order of priority that we have to get done every year, we've got to start really focusing in on that. Because, like, for example, with the water and sewer rates, I don't ever want to see us come back again where we're 30% below where we should be. Because then we can't even afford to replace something when it breaks. And we've got to get to where we can at least maintain the system where we're at.
And I hate incrementally raising every year and telling our people every year, but it's better than, hey, we're raising it 20% this year because we screwed up and haven't done it. It hurts less if you do it a little bit each year, I think.
How often does that money come into the SIP money from the mill?
The SIP money comes in every year for the next.
So like 2038.
12 or 12 days.
38. I meant like how many times a year? It's like twice a year?
That's how they pay it, but I just look at it as a yearly thing. Any other questions? Brian, you want to say anything else?
Do you want to say anything else? No.
Watch out, he's got a long leg. He'll whack you.
I know where his office is.
I bet you do. All right. Any comments for the good of the order?
Yes.
Yes, Judy.
Excuse me, I'd just like to remind everybody about budget training tomorrow night. 6 p.m.
And hopefully I had a light turnout, Judy, and you didn't remind me, since I'm going to do the presenting.
Yeah, bring the hard questions. 'Cause we're gonna play Stump the City Manager tomorrow night.
They'll all win then.
All right. Jackie, you had something?
Yes, this is Mike's last meeting with us. And so, I've been on city council for not quite a year and a half now, and we've gone through a hell of a lot of issues. And just even John's letter about how many different changeovers within our city there have been. And I want to say thank you for your support. And you've been very helpful to me. And also, I just wonder if we would have been in different times. I'm going to step in it here. That maybe your leaving could be more joyful than it is, because it doesn't feel very joyful. It feels more like an exodus. And so I just want to say thank you and wish you well wherever you go. That you go to bigger and better stuff. Well, maybe not bigger, but better stuff. So that's all I have to say about that.
Oh, it's very nice, sir.
Thank you.
Said it better.
Frank?
I just wanted to bring up the thing Barry brought up last week, the food box cook-off, the Great American Food Box Cook-Off. The mayor and I are teaming up. It's $100. And basically they're gonna give you a food box that normal people get that show up there, and the $100 is to go to the food box. You get cooking supplies. It's held at the Eagles. I think it's 3 hours. And you're supposed to it's like not Iron Chef, but what's it? Oh, Chopped. It's Chopped food box style. You gotta come with your ideas, but it's a good thing to raise money for food box and
Food pantry.
food pantry, sorry.
Okay.
Toledo Food Pantry. That's the end of next month.
So I'm throwing, anybody who's watching this, hopefully you'll get to it before this event happens. I'm throwing the gauntlet down now. Anybody thinks they can beat Frank and I, they might as well just figure on donating, because Frank and I are gonna kill it. Between the two of us, all the kids we've had to feed, we can work with a box of dirt and come up with something edible out of it.
Who'll be the judge of that?
Well, then you
There will
come on
be,
down.
there's gonna be tasting and there's gonna be winners. You're not, the only thing you're gonna win is a sense of pride.
Yep. But, so if you guys want to team up, bring it on. We're ready.
It's a 2-person team. They give you, I think, an Instant Pot, a microwave and some tools.
An Instapot, a microwave, and some sort of an oven, and I can't remember what kind of an oven it was, but
And a potato peeler.
hey, yeah, I can do a lot of things with potato peeler. Tim, did you have anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, Andrew?
We're coming up on the end of April here, which is Child Abuse Prevention Month. For anybody who isn't aware of why those blue pinwheels are out in front of City Hall, that is a cause called Pinwheels for Prevention. I've been a fan of it for a very long time. You might see my lapel pinwheel as well. But that is, if you are somebody who wants to learn about initiatives that are out there to support child abuse prevention in your community, here in Toledo, everywhere. Pinwheels for Prevention, look it up. That is from Child Abuse America.
My kids asked about that because of those.
It is a really great awareness program. So look it up. It's a lot of fun. And get your pin. Pinwheels for Prevention from Prevent Child Abuse America. That's all good.
Okay. David,
But, well, you had asked me last time, and this was just a little bit off. That you'd asked me last time to come back to you with some kind of range of scope of work with respect to a project for review. If you don't mind, I think I may have an actual proposal I'll be able to present to you at your next board meeting.
good.
At the next council meeting, if nobody takes objection, I think it's in line with what you're looking for. I hope it will be. I haven't seen the proposal yet, but we've talked it through, and I think I have a vendor and a project for you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. So all I'm gonna end on tonight is, Mike, I will say, we haven't always worked on fun stuff. Okay,
Seriously.
but your honesty and integrity for me has never been above reproach. And whoever you end up working for is getting a winner in my eyes. And I thank you for not just your work for us, but your dedication to this country. Your willingness to drive here from Sweet Home every day. That has always baffled me.
This car.
I also know his age.
Drive.
I also know his age. And unless they lift the speed limit on 34 and 20, it really doesn't matter. Thank you. Thank you very much. I will miss you. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to comment, you know, I haven't been on city council and sitting in those seats that you have. This is the best city attorney that I've ever seen for this city.
Oh, yay.
And I think that any place that he goes to work is gonna benefit from that greatly.
Yep.
And you have to suffer through a few attorneys to realize when you finally get somebody good.
We suffered through the same one, so.
I just want to say, when he does a resolution, it's all in favor of making the city secure and
Yep.
able to handle any lawsuit that might come by, you know, he's good at it.
Thank you.
With that, we're adjourned.